Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me as always is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Hello. And, you know what? I hadn't mentioned this beforehand, but I just edited the episode with our good friend Michael Jones, which you listeners at home would have seen 2 weeks ago now. And there was something in that I wanted to dive deeper into.
Really?
And do a bit of a pitch on.
So, just to let the audience in behind the scenes, Ben is literally springing this on me right this second.
Yeah, we haven't discussed this previously. So, we had a lot of fun on that episode talking about our horror train game, which we did about 20 minutes on, I think, at the end of that episode. But one of the things we talked about was the interaction between the dead players and the live players and some of the fun ways that could play out. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned, like, that could be a whole game in itself. Well, I thought that it could be a whole game in itself and that maybe it'd be fun to have a bit of a discussion around the possibilities of a game where you've essentially got dead players and living players, mm-hmm. even maybe from the beginning, and have some sort of fun around their abilities or the ways they can see each other and communicate.
So, first question is it competitive multiplayer? And
maybe.
If so, is it one of those sort of push and pull sort of games where if you as a dead person, you happen to kill a living person, they join your team? And if the living people happen to resurrect the...
Mm-hmm.
Like a dead person.
That could be cool, because I love the idea of being the one living person left on your team and just knowing that there's probably like 7 ghosts surrounding you right now waiting for whatever opportunity they have to you know, as we'll discuss here, you know, what they might be able to do. So, yeah, I was thinking that the dead probably need some way to appear to the living. Mm-hmm. But it should probably be like a limited sort of thing. And then I guess the living maybe, I don't know if it's a class-based thing or something, like maybe they have medium powers where they can, for a limited time, see where the dead are or get an outline of them or something. But, yeah, and then other things like, can the living only see the dead in reflections or, you know, in their periphery or something, like some sort of play around with those tropes a bit.
They become more opaque the further away from the center of the view.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're looking directly at them, you may not even see them, but as you turn away, they'll become more visible, and you look back and it's like, oh fuck, what was that? They might have moved. So yeah, I'm not sure what the gameplay itself is, you know. If it is, as you said, a competitive multiplayer sort of thing, I mean, it could even be almost like a little bit of a capture the flag kind of deal, or like territory control, where, well, okay, so I'm picturing sort of a house, a smallish house, mm-hmm. and there are 3, you know, if we go with the standard sort of territory control, 3 key rooms, and you start seeing the lights flicker and things falling off the shelves and things and like cupboard doors banging in, you know, the kitchen, and you know, oh, they're trying to take the kitchen. The ghosts are trying to take the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And so maybe the living in that situation have to, like, they can go in there and whether just being there stops them from taking it, or if there's a way to banish them if they're there, or like, you know, again, if it's class-based, you've got like maybe the medium character which exposes the ghosts to everyone for a limited time, and then there's actually like a way for the players to kill them or banish them or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're taking it, and that's like, oh, we're filling it up with incense and sage and
okay. So what are the ghosts?
Salt circle.
What are the ghost weapons? Let's put aside the whole push and pull of the ghost trying to kill the living people and turn them to their side, And the other way, of course. Let's just have it that it's a 3v3 sort of thing where you got 3 ghosts, 3 ghost hunters.
Yep.
So the ghost hunters, we kind of know what their weapons are going to be, and it's pretty much
Proton
salt, salt, holy water, like crucifixes, and flashlights. You know, they're the sort of typical things.
Well, I mean, those are the typical. Yeah, there is the religious exorcist kind of angle. There's sort of the Alan Wake sort of thing with the flashlight, maybe like exposing them in that way. There's obviously the more Ghostbustery comedic, literally attacking them with technobabble weapons. But yes, whatever it is, you're saying that you can are you saying let's break it down to more of just almost a 3v3 deathmatch, but where the challenge is like one team literally can't see the other?
Well, I think what the ghost can only kill when they get one alone, basically.
Okay.
And it's sort of I think it's on the sort of thing that you can have one ghost kill one person, that's fine. And saying, you know, you can also have, you know, one sort of human be able to kill one ghost and or at least vanquish them in some way or trap them in a room basically and like put salt in front of the door and they've trapped that.
Bind them or something, yeah.
Do some sort of binding ritual. So you never get to the point where, you know, you have a 1v1 and they can't actually win. You know, it's always going to be sort of possible. But almost in a 1v1, the ghosts are actually, they're the side that you're going to want to be in a 1v1. Because they're a little bit stronger in that.
So that is where I'm finding it challenging, is how do you balance it up that the ghosts aren't just completely overpowered, right? Because if they can, like, travel through walls and they can't be seen, how do you balance that up from the other side? And yeah, salt barriers.
I think they can't travel through walls.
Okay.
I think they can only travel, you know, through normal things. But if there's a breeze or, you know, they can turn on a fan and they can get, they can actually blow the salt, you know, apart and break the salt line, basically. You know, there's ways for them to actually, you know, not be stuck in a room for the rest of the game, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that could almost be a recharge, like on a recharge, or maybe maybe you do a sort of a class-based thing. Maybe this is a bit more Overwatchy, where, all right, I'm going to go, you know, the Reaper, and the Reaper has the ability to, like, kill a person when they're alone in a room.
Yeah. Single touch.
You know, someone else is going to go the Spectre, and they've got the ability to, like, push or, like, do a blast of air or like push something or whatever, like make some sort of movement, you know, and so maybe some of those ghosts do have a move where it's like, oh, okay, if it's reach out, you know, if the cooldowns finish, I can go through a single wall essentially as a traversal move. And that could be a way to get around a salt barrier or to you know, obviously sneak up on someone or something like that.
So what I think around like ghosts attacking, they're kind of on a charge sort of thing. So when they're in a room and they've got someone alone, they can start building up their charge by holding down a button or whatever. And as they do that, shit starts happening in the room so that someone gets let known that, okay, something's here.
I like that. I like the idea then. So I think what you need to do, the challenge again is, how do we... what's the reason that the humans need to be alone, right? There has to be a reason for them to be alone. It could just be, well, we need to secure every room in this house and it's faster if we split up, right? Or something like that. And so there is a risk-reward ratio there.
Well, it could be a simple thing of 3 people are in the room with you, you're not doing anything. As 2 of them leave, you slam the door shut and you basically, the ghost has a power in which they can basically cyclically lock the door, and you know, if they happen to trap the last person sort of in that room,
then they're in there alone. And I like that idea actually, because I love the thought of like it's always going to be risky when you're left alone. You So you're sitting there going, oh shit, okay, I'm going to be in here alone. Is there anyone else in here? They leave. It's just like slam. And then slowly the lights start flickering and stuff starts moving. And it's like, oh shit, there's a ghost in here.
And you start looking at all the stuff that you've actually got. And it's like, oh shit, I've only got like one vial of holy water. Yeah.
And so, you might survive if... Because I like the idea actually as well that, as the charge builds on that ghost, they start becoming more visible, more corporeal, and hence attackable.
Yeah.
But again, they've got sort of traversal moves and they've got different things they can do.
So the final ghost, they get an extra power in which if it's, say, a 1v1 situation, they kind of go into rage mode sort of thing, and they become permanently visible, I think, to make it actually fair for both players. But if they're the last one, they can choose to go into that rage mode if they want to. But it's just when they sort of get that final 1v1, I think the rage mode gets fully activated so that the humans actually have a chance.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of balance that would have to be done there. But I could definitely see that being cool. I like the idea of them that, yes, they're visible the whole time, but also now they can just travel through walls a lot more, or their cooldowns are like way shorter as well. Mm-hmm. And again, obviously, without overpowering them, but I'm just picturing, the one soul human sitting there with the crucifix out. And it's like, oh shit, they went through that wall. All right, they're probably over there. But then, they've managed to circle around and come up behind. And it's like, oh crap, throw the holy water. Got some splash damage. You see like smoke coming off the fucking ghost. And yeah, for sure. Also, all the ghosts need to be in the like semi-practical style of the original Ghostbusters, where they're like,
they can interact with the environment.
Well, no, and I just mean the visuals of them. There's sort of that feeling of they seem real, or like stop motion-ish, They seem like you could touch them, but they've got that glow and that.
So when they go through walls, do they leave ectoplasm behind? Because I think that would be kind of cool.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the way that you could track them and such as well, and have some. Yeah, like, it stays there for a limited amount of time, but you've got some sense, oh shit, there's ectoplasm on this wall, and there's no ectoplasm in this room, so they're probably still in here. Yeah, that's, I don't know, I wanted to explore that a bit more. I feel like there's really a lot of opportunity there for some fun asymmetrical gameplay.
Yeah. Oh, let's jump into some Click Pitch. So Click Pitch is a game where we play a ramped-up version, where we each have an adjective and a noun. On the count of 3, 2, 1, Discord, we click enter into a Discord bot, and we get a couple of words. And we throw them at each other. We come up with a game design like what we just did, and then when it doesn't work, we throw it away and do it all over again. You know the drill. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Let's do it. Advisory figuring.
Biased provision.
Okay. Advisory and biased makes me think of, some sort of ruling body or some sort of, advisory board, obviously. Something who has control over, someone else, but they have an ulterior motive. Mm-hmm. Maybe, and then provisions makes me think of some sort of expedition, right? Mm-hmm. So, is this a situation where you've got like a group of people who are effectively deciding what sort of provisions this expedition gets?
Yep.
But they have a reason, they have a bias there for either, maybe not giving them enough provisions or something, like not wanting them to succeed in whatever this is.
Okay. So, I'm liking where you're coming from, and I'm going to chuck a little wrinkle in because of something that's in my brain right now.
Perfect.
They're investigating aliens on Earth.
Okay.
So they're basically investigating encounters, and so they're trying to go out there. They're trying to recover, like from a crash, or they're trying to recover evidence from a from someone who says that they've been abducted. And in all these cases, they're sort of finding stuff, but the advisory board is also not wanting them to find too much, because it turns out that they're kind of like.
They have aliens on the board.
Well, it's either that, or the whole thing is that this is all about covering up the alien encounters and, sending in a cleaning team after you investigate it, sort of thing.
So why are they letting you investigate?
Because
is it like a bipartisanship thing?
Yeah, this is one of these things of you're writing a report and you send it back and you find out all this stuff, and then you don't think about that again. But I think you get the feeling that when you go back to see this person, then they go, no one's lived in this farmhouse for years. Like, it's one of these things where they've literally sent a clean out crew and they've cleaned them from the timeline, sort of thing. Not necessarily from the timeline, but
like Men in Black style, like remove their memories. Yeah.
There's just something about like a story like that and involving aliens.
I like that. I'm trying to think then how we turn that into, because I like some of. So originally when you said that, and because of Expedition, my mind went to a survival sort of thing almost. Like it's like XCOM, like it's because this is very XCOM-esque, right? Where you've got the advisory sort of team and you're going out.
XCOM is where my head went, except it's on the kind of more shady side.
Well, yeah, and I didn't want to just do XCOM, so I don't think it's combat focused, and so that's why my mind kind of went to. No,
it's all investigation it's all investigations and finding evidence, and basically in each thing that you go to, there's a way of finding out the evidence that you need to basically say that this is either yes aliens or no aliens, like.
Right, okay.
Because there's going to be some people who, think that they saw something, but really they just got, blackout drunk, and that's about where that ended.
Yeah. So how do you think those? Because investigation is always tricky in video games, right? As we know, it's very hard for one to do any sort of procedural investigation. I think so. It probably needs to be, handwritten. Which is fine if that's what we're doing. What's the gameplay of this investigation then? Is it dialogue based as you go around and talk to people? Is it
I think there's some sort of dialogue-y stuff, but there's also sort of like I don't know. I kind of like the way the Arkham games did the investigation when you actually sort of come across like a blood splatter or a weird shape in the field, then you kind of go into investigation mode. You found the scene, and now you're looking for the couple of bits of evidence around, so you can sort of follow some clues.
So it's sort of it becomes kind of a connected dot situation where it's just this leads to that, and you get a bit of exposition and backstory. That's fine. I do like that actually because of the ability then to just have fun high tech toys that you get to play with as part of this investigation team. For like, maybe you have to do some, signal cleanup to remove the noise from the signal or whatever, and then that leads you to, a piece of technology that got left behind. You're like, oh yeah, this is definitely alien technology or whatever. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, the other thing that you make me think of is a sort of a Papers, Please-esque thing where you're talking about like the reports coming in and stuff and sending off the reports and I feel like there could be some interesting stuff there, even if it's just from a narrative point of view of, maybe just one of these things where it's like, okay, at the end of each investigation, you've got a section where you're on your laptop and you send off the report and you've got some emails to check through and, you can like search the database or something. Like, you've got different things you can do, or maybe it's even part of the research.
That you can maybe connect the dots a little bit. Person.
Yeah, but that gives you the opportunity, or gives us the opportunity as the designers then to make it clear that some shit's shady. And, after you're onto your 6th investigation, and you go back and you notice that wait a sec, there's only 4 in my investigation history, and the one where it was like 100% definitely aliens has disappeared. And, you know, maybe you can do something about that. And get some real thrilling bureaucracy in there.
Yeah. Well, when you're doing like your investigations and stuff, you can actually almost set it to the point where, in the final report, you only include certain bits of information. You keep some parts to yourself. Like you can actually start choosing to go down. You know, are you the company man, or are you sort of against like this cleaning that seems to be going on?
I like the idea then that there's like a whistleblower who's talking to you essentially as well, from within this advisory board. And so you're sort of choosing who your allegiance is to. Yeah. Do you follow along as a company man and just ignore the weird shit that's going on? Or do you bring it up with this other shady figure who is, you know, has knowledge they shouldn't know about? And it could even be that it's like, you left this out of the report, but this person has that knowledge, and so you know that somehow they've got other methods of finding this stuff out. Or you put something fake in the report. You know, like you could even you could have some stuff in there where, and maybe this is once you go down that whistleblower route, you start baking stuff in the reports and seeing the outcome of that.
Yeah. I always love those tales of morality sort of thing where you get to choose, you know, either the good or the bad side. But in this, it's a little bit more open. Like, it's not just so bad that...
Yeah, look, it's not just on a morality scale necessarily, because, you know, depending on how much information you've got, like, yes, we're saying, okay, the advisory board is shady, but, you know, maybe they are the fucking men in black, and maybe they're doing it for, you know, to save the universe or whatever.
And it comes down to this thing. I mean, recently I've been watching all the Star Wars films with my son. We just got through Last Jedi on the weekend, and I was thinking about Holdo never tells Poe Dameron all the stuff that's going on because it's on a need-to-know basis. Like, when you're in the company and when you're in the army and all this sort of stuff, sometimes you're going to be given orders and they're shitty, and sometimes you got to follow them.
Yeah, like sometimes you got to put trust in
the chain of command, sort of.
You know, in the chain of command, and that is a really interesting thing, because also often the orders you're given are shitty for shitty reasons, and so at what point do you refuse an order, and how do you, as an individual, balance that? And that's a really interesting thing. I think that a game like this could play with. I mean, that's good sci-fi, right? Yeah. Like, sci-fi is about, you know, actual things. Like, sorry, that's a terrible sentence there of how to say that. But sci-fi reflects the present in a way that, you know, makes it, that sets it in a different light, but still lets you reflect on
exactly.
it, essentially. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to?
You've got to go first. Because you may actually say, what the fuck?
I wish mine was that fun. Discouraged incidental.
Seventh.
How is that even possible? Seventh. Can 7th even be in there? I mean, I guess the 7th. The 7th. All right. We can play with that.
I saw it come up. I'm like, no, I've got to kick this in because it's just going to be awesome.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like the 7th because this is some sort of like prophecy thing or some sort of like generational, you know, position held, like the Slayer or something.
Ooh, yeah.
So yeah, mine was discouraged incidental. So I'm sort of picturing discouraged, some sort of parental figure, or the last, like the 6th, 7th, discouraging who might be the 7th from doing what they need to do to find that out or something, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you've been chosen to do something. You don't know this, and like the person who's supposed to give you these, the keys to the kingdom sort of thing, decides to take it upon themselves to keep that from you.
Yeah, they decide you're not ready or something. Or maybe you do find out early. Maybe that's where incidental comes in. Maybe you aren't supposed to know until you're... Well, here... 7... What's 7 sevens? It's
49?
Something. Fuck. 49?
Yep.
Okay. I was going to say something about, like, you don't find out till your 49th. You're not supposed to find out till your 49th birthday, but then that wouldn't make sense for, like, the 6th, 7th.
Hang on. I was thinking 49 months, but that's still not.
No, that's about 5. That's about 4.5 or something years old.
It's like just after 4.
Yeah. No, or maybe it's 7. I mean, it could be either... Maybe it's like, I don't know, 7 years past your something, or I don't know, we can... Because I feel like it's more, okay, this is a teen who wasn't supposed to find out about this for like 10 more years or something, but is thrown into this world of whatever it is. So let's figure out what it is so we can build it around that.
Oh, actually, let's have a look at this. That doesn't quite work. I was thinking like 49 seasons or something like that, but that's only 12.
Right. But again, it would... So, because then, does that mean the first 7th would have found out after the 7s? Like, yeah. So, no, let's move away from that. That was just me trying to get some numerology.
Yeah.
So what... Maybe we should figure out, like, where did this start? What did the first 7th do? And then what have they passed down for essentially 6 more generations now?
So is it a curse or is it a blessing?
Good question, yeah.
Or is the 6th, 7th
or a mixed blessing,
considering it to be a curse, but really it's what you make of it.
Yeah. That could be cool.
So it can be kind of like that chosen one sort of thing, into every generation, there is one who will slay the monsters or whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm almost wondering, is it a bit more subtle than that? Is it something like they have the ability to, like, read minds or to, like, do something where it's just being, like, just knowing more about the people around them? And so, yeah, like, for the 6th, that was a burden to them, like, but it's because they were actually kind of selfish, maybe. And so for the 7th...
Maybe they went to war and they got kind of jaded because of all the shit.
Maybe they have fucking PTSD because they, like... Yeah,
as they were killing people, they heard in their minds what this person was thinking about. How much would that fuck you up?
They literally experienced themselves killing people from
and the fear, like, that comes from that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That's a different and gives a humanizing reason as to why the 6th is trying to stop you from using your gift and not training you in it like they're supposed to.
Yeah. So which war are we talking? Just to get a age sort of range if we're setting it in present day.
I kind of like the idea of it. It was Vietnam because that was, really, PTSD comes a lot from that. And
yeah, for sure. Well, and just from a time situation, we're getting to the point where
it could be the Afghanistan wars or something like that, or Iraq, or
yeah, of course, yeah. No, I think Vietnam's good because then we've got a 70-plus-year-old now, probably, if they were kind of. Well, again, maybe we say that they're supposed to find out about this when they're 20. Or like, yeah, because maybe there's some training involved or something. I don't think it's just something that happens.
Oh, no, it's definitely...
They've got the potential there, and then they need to be trained by their predecessor.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's been around 20 or 18 or something that's happened in the past. And then, yeah, this guy's gone off to the Vietnam War and essentially obviously experienced some horrific shit.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 50 years, 50 years has been just suppressing their ability, essentially.
Has not only been suppressing their ability, but actually thought the line was finishing with them. Because, as far as they knew, they didn't have a kid. And I think this comes into a thing of, like, their high school sweetheart that they, you know, spent one last night with before they left for war. Didn't tell them that they had, you know, a kid together. And now it's...
either that or it's in the bloodline and it's like
it skips a generation.
Niece or a nephew or something. Or just, like it's...
I do like the idea of skipping a generation.
They don't know. Like, they don't necessarily know. I feel like, you know, in the past there have been times when it's, you know, the 20-year-old gets trained up and then has a kid and then, you know, and then that kid has it and it's 40, like the 40-year-old training the 20-year-old. But at other times it's like longer and it's not always a direct line of descendancy. It's like, it's just the blood. It's the bloodline, essentially.
Yeah.
But yes, that perhaps this person didn't have kids. The sixth didn't have any kids, but had a sister who, you know, now at a similar age has children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, perhaps. And it's one of them.
Yeah.
And the sixth recognizes that and is like, oh, fuck. Like,
I thought I was nearly out of this.
I thought I was down. Yeah, I thought I was out of it. I thought I was the last one. I wasn't going to have to train anyone. It ended with me. And because, as you said, they consider it a curse.
Yeah. Ooh, I kind of like the idea that he's let it go too long. Like, if the training isn't complete by the 21st birthday, like, shit can really go down.
Oh, okay. Maybe not a specific day, but more around... It's almost like a puberty sort of thing, right, where it's a thing that develops. And yes, if you don't start training that before it sort of reaches its full level of development, then it can cause a lot of problems if it's sort of not controllable. So
it can basically manifest in some really dangerous ways.
Yeah, and just cause a lot of trauma to the person who has it because they don't know what's going on, and you know, they can't filter it, and so they're just getting thoughts at them constantly, you know. So I like the idea that yes, he recognizes this in someone in his family. It's like, oh shit! Like, not only is it not end with me, but these are the telltale signs of someone who has this ability and has not been trained well enough in it and has to step in. Okay. I like then the idea, I think the seventh is like a teenage girl who... So maybe he's
question.
like...
Do you play the sixth or do you play the seventh? Because I like the idea of playing the sixth.
Maybe.
And having to actually...
It depends on how we structure the game and the gameplay.
Oh, because I'm seeing that you'd end up, you know, going through some of the stuff that the sixth actually went through in story sort of thing, you know,
like
flashbacks, and actually playing through, you know, levels where you're seeing the stuff that's going on.
I guess it depends on like, because it could also be quite powerful to be in the shoes of the seventh as she starts experiencing this and not knowing, and then having that situation of like the sixth coming, like your great or whatever, your grand uncle or whatever, great uncle or something, coming to you and saying, and like, I know what's going on, like, and sort of having that moment and then the potential of the training and getting it under control.
I kind of like the idea of he comes into a room and he says, "We have to have a talk," and she goes, "Oh no. My mum and dad have already had this talk with me. I know where babies come from. I know, how the body works." I was like, no. Ugh. It's like, no, you've got a gift.
No, actually, because what he says actually is, we have to have a talk. No, and I don't mean the sex talk, because he knows what she's thinking.
There's just something about like the comedic sort of things that you could have happening there, and it's almost the first time that he's sort of meeting her and pulling her aside, and there's that sort of trust issue from her, but I think she also has some sort of empathetic powers.
So here's what I was just thinking is, I'm picturing this as essentially a point-and-click adventure or a Heavy Rain-esque, a very strong narrative, dialogue-driven sort of thing. I am picturing it probably in 3D, so the imagery is more Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human sort of thing. I like the idea that as you are having a discussion with someone, you do start... Like, I'm liking the idea of starting with her, and as she has discussions, she has these empathic thoughts and feelings where she sees... whether it's an aura or she sees sort of emotions come off them in some way, and you communicate that to the player.
I kind of like the idea of as you're having those conversations, the background starts to get dimmer. So you just sort of see
that's cool.
This slow dimness start to come in, and that actually amplifies the color of the aura around these people. And it's just subtle,
I really like
and slow.
Okay, you know what I just thought of? You know that scene in Ratatouille where he's describing the food?
Yes.
And it's got, like, the colours and the, like, sort of fireworky, just very abstract things going on in the background. I love the idea of you start talking to someone, and as they're, having a line of dialogue, the background is dimmed, and you're essentially seeing just these abstract shapes and colours that are very obvious, that are communicating to you in a relatively obvious way the actual emotions attached. That'd be really fun, artistic sort of thing challenging to have that going, on every
conversation
dialogue, but worth it if you make it work. And then I think as her powers grow, you start seeing imagery and even eventually actual lines of like inner monologue and different things, and that starts sort of growing in power.
So I suppose the question is there some sort of government agency who are looking for people who have these gifts as well? And it's sort of like the great uncle is trying to train her so that she doesn't like explode out, and Not a government. I feel like we do the government thing too much. Religious thing. Aliens.
No, I think...
Dentists.
I think yes, dentists. There's a sect of dentists. No, I think there is a... kind of like the Templars or something, right? Like, sort of like a...
an ancient...
It's... Yeah, like, well, as ancient as it needs to have been for the... Because, what's seven generations is probably a couple hundred years maybe, depending on the the lengths between this ability showing up. So going back to the start of the 19th century, yes, someone back then, in 1827 or whatever, like discovered or had suspicions about the first, essentially the first seventh.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why they're called seventh is because it's the seventh sense. Like, there's actually six senses.
Yeah.
And...
No, well, the sixth sense is being able to see dead people. They don't have that one.
No.
Some people do.
They've got the seventh sense, which is being able to...
They've got the seventh sense.
Which is empathy.
Yeah. Well, and I think to full-on mind read, I think it full-on gets to the point of you can literally, like, see into their heads. But that's when it's trained up and...
And that's when Inception starts.
Well, no, I'm almost picturing this as like an origin story for a a bit of a not like superhero, but almost a bit like Unbreakable or something, where it's sort of that more down to earth superhero. Do you know what I mean? Where at the end she's like, "Oh, all right, now I can." Like, I think you experience her first like time when she really helps someone with this gift, with this power, and sort of goes, "Oh, this is what I need to do with my life," you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think going back to where this particular bit started, I think you play her.
Yes.
I think you play the 7th.
with flashbacks as she starts getting better, like, I think.
Well, that's it.
She can,
because she can start reading his mind, right? She starts getting.
But she also gets to play. So. Like, you the player
scenes.
gets to play the scene.
Yeah. That makes sense. I love that. Yeah, I think that's a really fun story and world to explore and play with. Yeah. Get on it, someone. Because that needs a big budget.
Let's go into a movie.
Yeah, let's go into a movie. So, for those who haven't seen or heard, this is a game where we get a random movie selection. We'll each get one, and we'll either just use the title as a prompt or the whole plot of the movie if we sort of know the movie and it fits well enough. And we'll see how that goes. And I'm just looking at Trevor, who is trying very hard not to laugh. He's obviously got something amusing. So, Trevor, tell me what movie you have.
Jurassic Galaxy.
What? Okay, well, we're obviously doing that one. But just for completeness, I have Win a Date with Tad Hamilton from 2004. Which, like, I think as a prompt, there could be something cool. But Jurassic Galaxy, fucking dinosaurs in space, come on, that's amazing.
So,
just so we know, okay, when was this movie and what is the synopsis?
2018. So obviously it was one of these, like, the fake blockbuster thing. I can't remember what people call them. Blockbusters,
like the kind of scary movie sort of style.
Oh no, this is one of those sort of the Asylum, they bring out the Avengers and then they bring out like a separate movie that sounds like the Avengers, but it's like,
oh, I see.
It's one of the,
it's a knockoff essentially.
It's a knockoff of Jurassic World. They just called it Jurassic Galaxy instead.
Oh my god. Okay.
So, in the near future, a ship of space explorers crash land on an unknown planet. They're soon met with their worst fears as they discover the planet is inhabited by monstrous dinosaurs.
Okay. That's fun. I more like the idea of dinosaurs actually piloting spacecraft.
Yeah. They didn't die in a massive ice age after all. Jurassic Galaxy.
The meteor wiped them all out, except for one ship. Like they escaped they had an escape ship. They were more technologically advanced than we knew.
Love it.
Either that or like aliens saved some of them in a Noah's Ark style situation.
They just sent them through the Stargate, you know that.
And this is their descendants. It's one option.
Chevron.
We could have a. This is a Stargate property, Stargate spin-off. All right, so let's talk evolved dinosaurs. I mean, we have them to a degree. They're called birds, but we're talking about
big brain.
Are we sticking with big brain dinosaurs? Are we sticking with reptilian, like the classic?
I think so.
Potentially now inaccurate view of reptilian style dinosaurs.
Yep.
All right.
I'm literally seeing a huge Tyrannosaurus here, so I kind of like the idea that that Noah's Ark thing brings me to the idea that
2.3 out of 10.
The idea of having like a super smart dinosaur that sort of became, humanoid and that sort of stuff. They, took a whole heap of dinosaurs off the planet in a massive ark.
Yep.
And effectively, they've got all these pets that are just dinosaurs, and they've continued to evolve, but the dinosaurs have kept, very similar to what they already were. The rest of them. But they've gone amok. They've run amok.
Are they intelligent or no?
I think you've got the humanoid dinosaurs that are very intelligent, but you've got the
right, okay.
The normal ones, they just got two smaller brains, so they're just like normal animals.
Right, so they're domesticated, or they are semi-domesticated.
Semi-domesticated.
Essentially.
Occasionally you get some doing the, it's a living.
That's the last line in the movie, is a dinosaur, one of the sentient dinosaurs, after all this shit has gone down, and they're like debriefing, and it's like, oh, that must have been the worst thing ever, and he just looks at the camera like, it's a living. I say looks at the camera, but we're making a video game.
Looks at the virtual camera in Cinemachine.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do humans come across this?
Well, or do they?
Ooh.
Are we bringing humans into this?
Ooh, what I like is these dinosaurs that left the planet. They decide to come back to try and reclaim Earth. They're thinking that
okay, it's an invasion story.
Everything may have actually warmed back up after the massive ice age that they were predicting.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't find another place to actually live, so they decided to come back.
So they've just been
all over the galaxy,
drifting, or like not drifting, but like, yeah, they've essentially had this caravan of ships. It's one of these sort of situations. They've got this fleet of ships, and now what's left of the original Dinosaurus sentiatus. Dino Sapiens is...
Fuck yeah, Dino Sapiens.
Is coming back to Earth. He's coming back to Earth, and they're just like... It's been long enough. It's however many millions of generations, and we're coming home.
Yep.
Mama, I'm coming home. I don't know if that's a song.
Fuck, I love Ozzy. Mama,
is that what that was?
Home. Yep.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of, but I couldn't quite remember the actual tune, so I guess it was close enough that you got it.
Yep.
All right. Okay, I like that. So it's essentially an invasion story. So now, are the humanoid ones as large as the others, though?
Yeah, I'm thinking that they're like 12 feet tall, sort of thing. So they're like double our size. They're quite big, and sort of look down on us and sort of go, yes, fleshy.
I see the mammals have taken over the planet.
I see the mammals have gained sentience. Not much from the looks of it.
Not much from that hairstyle.
Well, they go, yeah, we only gathered technology like this after what? 1,000 years? How long have you been alive for? How long's your civilization been going for? Ugh. You guys suck.
You're still wearing clothes. You haven't evolved past clothes. How crude. You cover your genitals as if you're ashamed. All right, let's... this is not something we usually do, but we have been doing this improv course, so let's do a scene. We've sort of set it up a little bit, but you're the dinosaur, you're the sentient dinosaur leader, and I'm the president, not the Trump president, just like
the president of Earth,
the president of Earth, and we're meeting for the first time.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's opening! It's opening! Boom. 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 What's that? Can you... Is that a Tyrannosaurus Rex? What's
down,
going
Fido,
on?
down. Oh, hello there.
Oh, hello?
This is my pet Fido. He's very harmless. He's okay.
I am the president of Earth.
Oh, so you're the leader of the mammals.
I guess, well, of the humans. That's our species.
Interesting. We just called you Squishy.
We do squish.
I see that you have a bit of a civilization around here.
I mean, we like it. Look, as a representative of our species, I need to know your intentions. Why are you here? You are the first.
We have come back to Earth to reclaim our rightful homeland. So we'd like it if we could get our homeland back. We see that things have broken up a bit since we were last here. It was one big continent when we were last here, and now there seems to be
Yes,
5.
That wasn't our fault. That was before our time. So you can't blame us for that. I'm sorry.
No, the plates shift and it moves.
Yes.
We know how
my
all
science
this works.
advisors tell me. Okay, good.
So it looks as though the meteor didn't actually destroy the entire planet. So that's good. That's good. So we'll just take back control of the planet, and you can just go back to your hovels or wherever you were.
Well, so we have populated almost every livable space and consumed most resources.
Do you not have replicating technology? How
No,
early?
is that something you could give us?
Oh, no. So let me dumb this down for you so that you understand. We fly here. This is our original planet. We take it. You go back to hovels.
But we are the ones who take things. We have a proud history.
We were here first.
Of taking land that does not belong to us.
We were here first. I remember the last thing that I remember
historically that has not mattered.
Well, the last thing that we did before we left is create a grand split that basically gave like a sort of arrow. There was like a grand sort of canyon-y sort of thing that we created that basically pointed to where we're going to land, which, as you see, it's pointing to right here. So that's how...
Oh my God, the conspiracy theorists were right.
So...
It is an arrow.
We're going to take control, and you're going to go on your merry business, and we'll just repopulate the world like we were always going to do.
Okay. As president of Earth, I actually can't let you do that. So I'm going to end this cutscene, and we're now in a first-person shooter.
Fido, you can take a bite of him.
Pass me my rocket launcher. So that's the opening cutscene of our first-person shooter called Jurassic Galaxy.
I know. I thought there was some interesting stuff there.
Yeah. No, I that's fun. I like that idea. The sentient dinosaurs is an interesting thing to jump on.
Did you like my voice choice there?
Sure.
It's a little bit different to what you were expecting, but...
I mean, a sentient dinosaur with millions of years of evolution behind them. What else would they sound like?
Okay, I reckon we do one more movie.
Let's do one more in case.
Unless you want to do Tad Hamilton.
That whole thing.
Win a date.
Win a date with Tad Hamilton. Nah, let's click again. Let's get a new movie. Okay, I got Fighting with My Family.
Okay.
It seems to be a wrestling movie from 2019.
Mm-hmm. I've got The Lost Boys.
Oh, the vampire one?
The vampire one.
Kiefer Sutherland?
Yes.
Okay.
I do kind of like the idea of like a Lost Boys adaptation.
They're sticking with the vampire.
Yeah.
Like the actual story, not just the title.
And sort of playing as one of the main characters, which is either the mother or the two teenage sons who start to notice. Maybe it's the mother, and she notices that one of her sons has gone missing, and so she starts investigating.
I don't fully remember the plot. So her sons turn into vampires. Is that what happens?
It says here, a couple of teenage friends take it upon themselves to hunt down the vampires that they suspect of a few mysterious murders and restore peace and calm to their town.
Okay, so they're vampire hunters.
Well, they take it upon themselves, so...
Well, yeah, but to become vampire hunters, essentially.
We can always bring the mother...
Right, they fill water guns with holy water. Okay, gotcha.
I haven't seen it for so long.
No, I mean, I like the idea of the mum, from her perspective, the mother of these kids who are deciding to fight the vampires in their town. I guess what's the gameplay at that point of view? Is it like the dinner table conversations each night? She's like, she goes into their room just to check out some stuff, and she sees like a super soaker on the bed, and like then she sees like the Holy Bible next to it, and like a note as like a little bookmark that actually says how to make holy water. And it's like, what? how to bless water. Yeah. I mean, I could see kind of almost a Gone Home-ish sort of vibe where it's around environmental storytelling like that. So you play the mum and she's like, okay, your task is clean your son's bedroom. And yeah, you come across like the stash of wooden stakes that they've been working. It's like, what are all these wood shavings under the bed?
They've just been whittling at night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I've been hearing at night. Oh, I'm so glad that it wasn't masturbating.
Thought you were just jerking it.
Instead, you were whittling stakes. Oh, makes me feel so much better.
I remember when I was a lass in my room whittling stakes.
Killing.
It turns out she was just a vampire hunter as well, and
she goes, "Why didn't you come to me? I'm a vampire hunter from way back."
And then they're like, "Oh, no, it's sorry, we're not actually hunting vampires. It's like a sex thing. It's just what we call it."
It's like, I'm somewhat remembering like. Back when I was younger, my sister had this book series. It was basically 3 books in one. That there was basically some vampires that had taken over the school, and like this, they weren't typical vampires in the way that like they could actually be out in the sun, but it depended on how much blood they'd actually drank and all this sort of stuff. And one of these characters actually gets turned into the lead character actually gets turned into a vampire at like the end of the first book. But then she's sort of having to deal with these urges and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, that could actually be kind of fun to play down this path of, you know, not knowing what's actually going on and having to deal with it, and having almost a story of effectively, like, you know, a puberty of some sorts.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, it's essentially a puberty metaphor. Are you saying you still play from the point of view of the mother, though? And now it's like having the talk with your kids, except it's about becoming a vampire? Or like discovering they're becoming a vampire or something?
Either that, or we can leave that story that we just talked about, and we can go down this path on like something else, like very similar. And I remember that, you know, it happened to be the next door neighbor in this case that was actually happened to also be the coach at the school, like the swimming coach or something like that. But they happened to be a vampire. But as you go through the game, you can actually have kind of like what happened in this, which is almost sort of what happened in Twilight as well, where you also have like this the overarching like legion of vampires that are trying to keep, everything hush hush on that. So anyone who gets turned into a vampire who hasn't been selected, sort of, they want to wipe them out so that people don't find out about them and all this sort of stuff.
Right, so you've essentially got sort of the two factions of vampires. You kind of got essentially the vampire supremacists who want to keep the bloodline clean, and then you've got sort of the more progressive vampires who, it doesn't matter how you were turned, essentially. Okay, yeah, I like that. And then the main character is, essentially one of these impure, according to the supremacist vampires, and it's dealing with, finding allies and dealing with both high school and
dealing with high school
racism.
And vampire tendencies, and where do you get the blood from? And then you've got the mysterious stranger that comes to town that you can sort of see an aura around, and you sort of go, oh, I've never seen a gold aura around someone or something like that. And it's like you happen to find like another vampire, and this is the first time you're seeing them, and they could turn out to be quite an evil character as well. And you start wondering, are all vampires evil, and why am I not evil? Like,
yeah, well, I think you'd have to find someone. I think you'd have to find someone else who knows what's going on, and is on your side to sort of start explaining things.
It could be kind of cool if you actually came out to your mum, and basically it could almost be like another metaphor
sexuality sort of thing as well,
sexuality and that sort of stuff. Like,
for sure,
there's just something about most parents are going to be accepting of their child, whatever's happening in their life. I say most.
Well, I like that, and I like juxtaposing that against, maybe you do find someone else in your high school who is also a vampire.
Yep.
It's the shy goth kid or whatever, but their parents didn't take. You've got that experience there where their parents didn't take it well, and essentially they've actually been, they've been kicked out and living on the streets. And
I'm seeing it almost as if, do you remember the old video game, The Adventures of Willy Beamish? Where it was sort of over a week where you had sort of like stuff happening at school during the week, and it's sort of basically over the first week of her vampire life and all the different things that are sort of going on. You can, whether you do it as a week, or whether you do it as like the first month of having been turned and having to deal with, like, where do you get food from now, and can you...
Yeah, I like bringing that in slowly and kind of day by day. Yeah. One day you find, like, oh, I can eat rodents or whatever, and then the next day it's like, oh, you find this other vampire, and they, they've got a different situation, and together you find new ways to get blood, and
and
that's cool.
Yeah.
So essentially, I think it's probably a bit of a point and click then.
Oh yeah,
or third person adventure-y, like a Life is Strange sort of situation.
Yeah, and just exploring that, the vampire changes from like inside someone who's actually,
well, and at school, like, I like the idea of sort of hearing her inner monologue as she's like sitting in class and starts, feeling these feelings about the people around her, meaning she really wants to, like, bite that guy's neck.
So whether it's like she's coming home one night and she gets bitten, and we just decide to do it as she gets bitten by like a vampire, and that's all that it needs to be. She doesn't.
I mean, or we can move away almost entirely from the traditional vampire lore, and it's like it's a disease that's spread by a fucking mosquito or something, right? Or like or an actual bat, or it doesn't necessarily have to be another person who has specifically done that, because that kind of brings a whole other predatory thing into it.
And we want to stay away
Whereas
from that.
I think treating it more as, okay, this is something that's happening and her dealing with it, rather than the bringing in, those sort of, predatory aspects.
But then having
done this to me,
that potential of you're kind of a bit worried about like the coach, seems to bring people into their office, and there's some weird shit going on there, and you can go down that.
Well, what it could be, it could be more that it's like it's a blood-borne disease.
Yeah.
And so,
do you get a transfusion or something?
Maybe she gets,
and through a transfusion.
That. Yeah, you get like contaminated blood because they can't detect it. Like medical technology hasn't detected it or whatever. But then you can still, if we want, go into the sort of darker side of things of like, if someone wants to be a vampire, like they're purposefully, sharing blood or whatever, like doing things to infect each other. And I mean, then you've got sort of metaphors around HIV and stuff there too, I guess.
But I think it really shows what some teenagers have to go through, and you get to choose,
well, and I mean, especially if you make it sexually transmitted as well.
Yeah.
then you've really got some interesting stuff to play with.
Yeah.
I can't have sex with you because I don't want to make you into a vampire.
Do you have a condom? No, then.
All right. I think there's some cool stuff you can do with that.
Yeah.
But on that note of asking for prophylactics, I think we'll end the episode.
No, I'm actually asking you, do you have a condom to wear out?
Oh. To wear out?
No,
like outside?
We are out.
You only have to wear a mask, Trevor. You don't have to...
Oh. I've been wearing
That's
like
what they
a full
say
body
when they
condom.
If you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com, podchaser.com/bitstorm. Leave us a review. We would love it if you did that. And all of our past episodes there. And go check them out. We are also part of the 8-Bit Collective. This is a group of podcasters who do stuff around pop culture and video games and any number of other things. So go to 8bit.net and definitely take a look at some of those other fantastic shows.
We'd like it if you could check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just look for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook or at AGP Network on Twitter for all your Australasian gaming podcast needs. And finally, we'd like to thank Kuradust for the use of the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. So where are we on the whole we're going to take control of the planet?
Nah. Sick 'em, Fido.